welcome to the Lady Jaye Meat Dudes podcast. I'm Evan.
My name is Tyler.
Charlie.
Wow, exciting. So today, we want to chat about utilizing the entire animal, or in this case, the entire cow. We're going to break down a cow for you today. So, does that sound pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah, so we excited about that?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Because that's what we're all about here. Boom. So, let's talk about it real quick first. There's kind of four categories of, the benefits of utilizing the whole cow. The first one, of course, is economic benefits. So utilizing the entire cow can really provide, of course, economic benefits for farmers and processors, right? So supporting local, if you're utilizing all of their cuts, you're getting things at a less of a price, they're making money, everybody's happy. There's, of course, environmental benefits of utilizing the entire cow. By reducing waste, it can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions, conserve natural resources. That's a big thing, obviously. And there's cultural significance, especially in the indigenous cultures. It's a way to honor and respect the animal and its life, to use the entire animal for traditional dishes, practices. And, of course, the last one is there's nutritional benefits. So utilizing the entire cow has a wide range of nutrients, right? From the internal organs to all the different cuts, the fats, everything like that. So why specifically do you think we're talking about utilizing the entire cow?
Why?
I
mean, in simplest terms, probably it's more economical to figure out a way to
We
use
also
it all.
have a business to run,
Yes, we do.
right?
Yes, we do. And for our listeners out there, beef prices are going to be going up. So let's talk a little bit about that. There's the trend is going up,
Going up
bit,
and not coming down.
and probably not coming down. So, according to this article from Drovers, they've had. God, this is a major drought, basically like a perfect storm on the Midwest and cattle ranchers in general too. It's been a struggle, with a major drought, the war in Ukraine, the feed, everything is just kind of coming to a head right now, and
Right.
It's been tough. So I think they said that there's like, gosh, where is it at? 1 million less cows, 1 million head fewer. Coming in this year, I mean, there's just
That's a big number.
it's a lot, right? And a lot of farmers are basically saying, well, I don't know if I'm gonna, they sent all their cattle, right? They sent all their cattle to get slaughtered, and they don't know if they're coming back. The farmers, the ranchers.
Yeah, it's like if the cost of diesel and food and everything is more than you can give for your product, then why do it?
Then why do it?
I mean, they got a business to run.
Even
too.
if it's ingrained in your family, if you're generational,
You're not going to do it to
farmers,
lose
you're not
money.
Sorry.
Yeah, man. So right now, I mean, it's a pretty bad situation. So consumers are definitely going to see it, and just our meat company, our preservation meats has had struggles too, right? I mean, talk about that a little bit, Charlie.
Well, I mean, it's like everybody gets. I mean, the USDA puts out a pricing guide, right? Sort of guidelines every week for beef, and in the last 2 weeks or something, it's gone up almost 50%.
That's crazy. 50% in 2 weeks.
And we're talking for commodity meat, right? Not
Yeah.
for small farms or whatever.
Okay.
But those are all the guidelines everybody goes off of anyways.
So small farms are still looking at that,
Yeah.
going, well,
Oh boy, here it comes.
I'm gonna, here it comes. I'm gonna up my prices as well, right? I have
Yeah.
to. Man, that's crazy. And so think about, so that's just for the processor, right? That's gone up 40, 50%.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would probably be the processors processing the meat. So I guess the next step, it would basically go to the wholesaler.
Mm-hmm.
The wholesaler, the price is set for the wholesaler.
Okay. So then the wholesaler sells to the retailer, and
Right.
the retailer sells to the consumer.
Yes.
So if the wholesaler's price are going up 40%, means the consumer's price is probably going up.
It's going up at least 40%,
Yeah.
probably more like 60%.
Dude. No bueno.
Those
That's
of us
not
that
cool.
are beef lovers, I mean, there's one reason that we're talking about this, and because we all love it. We eat a lot of beef.
Yeah.
It's freaking me out,
Yeah.
and we got our finger on the pulse.
Exactly. So, let's talk about how seasonal how seasons really impact it too, because prices are going up for a lot of specific cuts in season, and we got a little. We're at a restaurant here. My God, dude, they're washing
This is our monthly washing of the dumpster.
Of the dumpster,
in the
so it doesn't
alley.
smell here on the patio. Wow, perfect
Thank
timing,
you.
guys. So
Thank
hey,
you, buddy.
hey, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. They did text me and want confirmation, and so they said tomorrow. I was like, yeah, but they usually come at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's all right. That's all right. Okay, but let's get back to it here because meat prices are going up. How do this seasons really affect the meat prices as well?
I mean, it might look nice right now, but it's still pretty fucking chilly.
Yeah. So what do you want to cook in March?
I still want to do stewy, braisy, ossobucos and things like that.
Yep.
Long roasties. Not really grilling season. I mean,
Not quite yet.
I'll grill every day of the week if I could, but
And think about
right now I'm still kind of in that end of winter comfort mode,
yeah,
right?
totally. And it's St.
Not-
Patty's Day too.
Not cracking beers and sitting on the patio and grilling up some flank steak and making tacos, right?
And St. Patty's Day has a major effect too, right, on briskets.
Yeah, obviously the briskets are going to be more expensive right now than
Yeah.
they are going to be in a
Right.
random time in October.
Yeah.
How
1000%.
many people in the world are doing corned beef
Yeah.
right now for St. Patty's Day?
Yeah. So the trends, everybody really, the meat industry understands the trends.
They know the trends. They've been in this game a long time.
They've got the data.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're here talking about it, to kind of help educate and talk about some of the other cuts, some of the other things that you can do by utilizing the entire cow and not just picking maybe some of those really famous cuts, especially in those famous seasons.
Right.
So let's break down a cow, because we've been talking about it all week now. Really, how much of the Hollywood cuts versus the fat versus the hind legs versus the grind really goes into a whole cow. So we have a hanging carcass. So a cow just gets slaughtered. It's a hanging carcass of 1,000 pounds for our math, right? Generally, it's around.
Yeah, for easy math, we're going to say 1,000 pounds.
Easy math. It's about 1,000 pounds, right? 997 pounds,
No.
Charlie. Do the math. So out of that 1,000 pounds of this cow, what's the usable product?
From what I've been told, about 66% is a good yield,
Okay.
is usable.
Okay, so 66%, that's 660 pounds out of the 1,000.
Right.
And then, so what is kind of,
What's-
what is that third of the cow that is unusable?
Random bones, unless you have a huge stock program, then those bones become, you just have too many of them.
Yeah.
Extra exterior fat. You can only grind so much fat into your ground beef before it's, everybody wants 80-20. They don't want 50-50.
Yeah, so there's
That's
a lot of
disgusting.
fat, right? We were talking about that. There's
Yeah,
so much
fat,
fat.
tendons,
You can't really use.
silver skin. You can't use it all.
Okay, so out of that, so now we're down to 660 pounds. And then how much of that is utilized for ground beef?
About 240 pounds.
So 240 pounds
Off
for ground
of
beef.
the 660
Off
is
the
240.
660.
Yeah. So ground beef is a big portion of
Every cow.
the industry, right?
Yep.
So like saying if they're going to bring in more cows, they got to get rid of ground beef. Otherwise, you got a
Yeah.
third of the cow is ground beef, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, then at that point you have too much ground beef, and you either have to sell it at a loss just to get rid of it, which
Yeah.
nobody wants to do.
Why is McDonald's? Why is Burger King?
Because they
King?
set their
'Cause
prices.
and there's so much ground beef
Oh, yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Are those sustainably raised cattle, you think?
I wouldn't imagine so.
Well, no, that's crazy. I mean, we utilize a lot of ground beef too. We have a nice ground beef program. We got how I guess. you
Yeah, I
explain it.
mean, counting them. I mean, with the meat box.
Yeah, the
if you
meat
count
box.
the meat box is 250 pounds a month.
Yep.
We probably go through about, on a regular week, 125 pounds ground beef a week
Okay. Damn.
throughout what we do, depending on what specials are and stuff like that.
Which for us
Yeah.
is quite a bit.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It's not a lot for some other places.
No,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Think
not.
about
Yeah.
a bigger program like a hotel or something that's serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah. We got about 60, 65 seats on a good day.
Yeah.
Talking about the patio as well. Yeah. Okay. So we take out the ground beef. Now we're down to about 420 pounds. So it is some of that, the 420 pounds. Now we're talking about the back legs, the hind legs, or the unusable cuts, right? That's
Well,
kind of
they're
what comes
usable.
off next, right?
Usable,
I would
just less
say
attractive.
Less attractive.
Less
cuts.
attractive, yeah, and not unusable. Excuse me, yeah.
Right.
So less attractive cuts, and some of that, but in that, 160 pounds is the hind legs.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah,
So is there any grind in there?
a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean there's grind everywhere.
I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
could
when you
pretty
separate
much.
muscles and stuff, you're always gonna have trim,
Okay.
but there's a lot of large muscles in the back legs, so you're not gonna have out of the 160 pounds. You're trying to get as many usable muscles as you can out
So
of it.
let's go through some of those muscles that we're going to use in that hind legs. The shank, right?
The shank, yeah, the shanks, you can either cut them into ossobuco style shanks, or you can do whole beef shanks, which are big,
Yeah.
Huge.
like 15 pounds a piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Super
so
fun.
easier,
Really cool.
easier for the home cook to have ossobuco, but you have to find somebody that's going to cross cut the bones, right? You have to
Okay.
have a bandsaw.
Yeah. So 15-pound shank. Ooh.
15 pounds per leg.
Yeah.
So 30 pounds.
Damn, dude. Okay. And then you got what's next? The bottom round?
The next largest cut would be the top round.
Top round. Okay.
The top round is about 40 something pounds per animal. So, I mean, that cut, it's a great cut of meat.
Yeah.
It's also known, I mean, most people know it as London broil, right? So you cut it into large steak, boneless steaks, London
Yeah.
broil.
What else could you use that top round for?
The top round's the best roast beef, man. That's
Roast
what Arby's
beef,
uses.
roast
That's what
beef,
Arby's is
baby.
using.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Boom. So
A lot of the cuts out of the back leg are used for roast beef.
Okay, so you got the shank, you got the top round. What's next here? What's the next largest?
Bottom round.
Bottom round.
And then there's the sirloin tip, which to me is the hardest muscle to use.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different muscle groups within it. There's more seams and more like silver skin and stuff, so you can't
Which
just roast the
also is
whole thing.
waste.
Oh, yeah. More waste
But
there.
it's still usable.
What about what are you using? That sirloin tip, that eye round, the bottom round. What are you using that stuff for?
It works good for jerky.
Jerky.
Yeah.
Man.
Roast beef
Carpaccio.
Okay.
probably could.
Okay.
I mean, it's still delicious beef.
Yeah. And that eye round, where does that mostly go? That eye round.
Eye round is, if you ever have eye round, is the raw beef that most of the time is in it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So pho restaurants are definitely doing their part.
PHO, pronounced pho.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Thank you. Okay. So now we're at about 160 pounds, or sorry, 260 pounds all in. That's after the big fat, external fat that we're taking off the ground and the hind legs. We're at 260 pounds. Let's get into the Hollywood cuts, right? This is what most people go out and look for when they're at a butcher shop or at a grocery store. So the Hollywood cuts are the bone-in ribeye, the New York, and the tenderloin. Those are probably the three most famous cuts, right? So how much in weight of those three cuts does that take up in the cow?
From the 1,000 pounds.
Yep. How much do those weigh?
I mean, total?
Yeah.
85, 86 pounds, something like that.
So 85
Tenderloins
pounds.
are like, 6 pounds a piece, give
Yeah.
or take.
6 to 8, yeah.
So that's
Bone-in ribeye has a lot of weight on just the bones.
8.6% of a 1,000-pound animal is
Is
are
the
those
Hollywood
cuts.
cuts. That's crazy, dude.
How does that make you feel about eating that ribeye?
8.6% of the entire
Right.
cow is the Hollywood cuts.
Yeah.
Elitists.
Shut your mouth. No, that's crazy. So, I just think about that stuff when I go into, a Whole Foods or a grocery store and you look at what they're selling, right? It's ribeyes, New York tenderloins, probably, some flanks here and there. Of course, they got the ground, maybe, some roasts, things like that. But you're not seeing
Chuck roast.
You're not seeing a lot of that other stuff. So where does that other stuff go?
I have no idea.
That's crazy. I
I
mean,
mean,
I got to use something that could grind.
obviously
a lot
the
of it or what?
briskets are going to go to
Yeah.
smokehouses and people that corn them and make corned beef and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other cuts that are really good.
Man, so that blows my mind. 8.6%.
You think about, how many taco trucks are out there in the world. There's a ton of carne asada. What's that? Flanks, skirt steaks, stuff like that.
So let's think. Well, let's talk about that. Let's go into the secondary cuts. But before we go into the secondary cuts, there is still those internal organs, right? So that makes it part of the weight. We didn't account for it in that 1,000 pounds because our hanging carcasses don't have all those internal organs that we're talking about.
Yeah, because the program that we use is they're dry aging the whole carcass, so you're not going to dry age liver the offal, right?
No?
So that stuff gets pulled out.
Dry aged liver.
That doesn't factor
Isn't that
into
cool?
the hanging weight.
So what do you do? We were talking about the heart and the liver, and how big is that cow liver?
It's huge.
It's like 20 pounds.
It's like 20 pounds.
It's
That's
like
a
two
small dog.
basketballs.
That's
It's
crazy
like
to
two
think about, bro.
basketballs.
So if you just think about nobody's, what are you going to do with all that liver?
we couldn't put that in our butcher shop. Like, hey, buy this.
Here's a
beef
20-pound liver.
I mean, geez.
I've never been a fan, I gotta say.
Really?
It's just so minerally, and I'm down with some foie gras. I'm sorry. I like the chicken livers is cool,
Yeah.
like mild, but whew, man. Kurt used to make this. We did slaughter a hog on the farm, and he'd be so excited about making this French pork pig liver pate. I was just
Really?
it was gnarly, dude.
What
It
do
was
you
not
do,
good.
man.
I
Dude, what do you
didn't-
do with
sorry.
what do you
Sorry,
do with a
Kurt.
cow liver?
Oof.
Maybe we smoke it.
I
Should we
mean,
throw
you
it on
got-
the smoker?
Liver and onions, That's usually like when my kids are like, "Dad, what's for dinner?" I always say liver and onions just
Yeah.
to fuck with them a
My
little bit.
grandma always said that.
Liver
That
onions.
was, yeah. My grandma always made my mom eat that liver and onions on Halloween before they go out trick or treating.
Shut up.
That.
Are you serious?
Oh man, my grandma, great lady though. But damn, that's screwed up, huh? But
Whoa.
so we're not gonna throw a big old
Okay,
20-pound liver
okay.
on the smoker now. That's not
I
cool.
don't think so.
What about heart? What about heart? You're talking about a heart tartare. Tyler has a famous heart tartare recipe.
Oh, dude, people talk about this. I think they still talk about
It's
it.
your thing, man.
I once did a pastrami'd, I guess, if I can say that. Pastrami'd a heart. That was pretty cool.
That's dope.
So I brined it for 2 weeks, and then just traditional coriander and black pepper, and then I smoked it, slow roasted till it was tender, because it takes forever. I mean,
Really?
think about all the working muscles.
Oh, yeah.
Hearts
It's gotta be pretty tough.
all the time, right? Oh, tough as fuck. Yeah, dude.
Tough as what?
It's like,
Huh?
excuse me, sorry,
Oh
Mom.
man, your mom's gonna be pissed, dude.
It's like cooking
twice.
it's like cooking a river rock. It's like you're gonna
Cooking a
braise
river
it for like 29 hours.
Oh my god, that's
But
awesome.
turned out it was pretty yummy,
Dude,
because
well, that's
the minerality with the smokiness and seasoning and spices, as long as you kind of marry all that shit together,
Dude,
it was delicious.
we should do that as a special, huh?
No.
I'm sure we'll go over real well here.
Little heart tartare.
Yeah, we're
It's
gonna,
the
sell,
sandwich.
we're gonna sell it in the case out there.
Let's go.
Whole heart.
All right, so we're breaking down this cow. We've got through the Hollywood cuts, the back legs, the grind, the external fat, the bones fat. Now you're kind of left with the cuts that aren't the Hollywood cuts. We've mentioned a couple, the brisket and things like that. But that's what I like about what we do and what you guys do specifically is kind of taking all of these unique cuts and making them something special. Because I was not in the beef industry, but I loved steak before we opened this restaurant. But I would have never heard of any of these cuts, right? Because you don't see them when you go out to the grocery store. So now, since we've broken all this down, now there's about 175 pounds left out of that 1,000. And these are the non-Hollywood cuts. So let's list these off and kind of talk about them so people can understand, what they may be missing. And then after that, we're going to talk about if you like ribeyes, you should get this. And we'll kind of go through all of that stuff just to give you some compliments. So first one, obviously, that's not a Hollywood cut. It's a brisket. We talked about that, right?
Yeah, and we kind of sort of skipped over the chuck, which we'll get into when we talk about other cuts, but the chuck is a very large muscle.
Yeah. That's
So-
I threw that in here as a non-Hollywood cut,
And
right?
it's got a lot of goodies in that.
Yeah.
What's in the chuck roll?
Structural.
I mean, what is the chuck roll, and what are the goodies that are in the chuck roll?
I mean, chuck roll is it's basically the front shoulder,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
So
Which is the beginning muscle runs through the entire body.
yeah. So within that, there's the flat iron, there's the zabuton, there's the chuck eye,
Mhm.
and
Delmonico.
Delmonico, baby.
all that other stuff.
Those
So-
are man. That one's that one's my fave, man. You got and then okay, so those are the muscles in the. How big is that? 30 pounds? 25 pounds?
Yeah, boneless,
Boneless.
probably 22 pounds or something like
Okay,
that.
okay. And then you've got the short rib plates, right? That aren't considered technically a Hollywood cut, right? Because those are different than like your ribeyes. Those are off of the ribeye, right?
It's off. I mean, yeah, it's rib.
up.
It's all rib muscle.
Yes.
Rib meat off the bones after harvesting ribeyes, right?
But the ribeyes are where? They're here in the short rib plate.
Everybody's are here. Short ribs.
Are you going north
Here.
to south or south to north?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Top
I
to
don't,
bottom?
I
Are you
I
going
don't
top
know,
to bottom?
dude. I'm trying
What
to
are
get
you-
you
what are
guys
you
to tell
doing?
me. Here's a cow. No, man.
Top of the cow.
It's at the top
like-
of the cow.
Ribeye's at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Chuck short ribs.
Chuck short ribs are off the very front of the rib cage, kind of above, I guess, sort of above the brisket, kind of.
In those, a lot of people ask for those, right? Because those are just easy braisers. Those aren't dino ribs, right?
They're not dino ribs. They are kind of a triangular shape, so they're not. You can braise them, but like for a restaurant setting, you'll have a bunch of different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to be
they're a little
consistent.
tricky. A lot of times you see them boneless. A lot of times you see them in Korean barbecue because you can slice them super thin and they don't have to be all uniform.
And that's not the same as flanking ribs, right?
No, flanking ribs are basically the dino ribs
Cut the other way.
cut across the bones. But
Cross out.
they do make flanking ribs out of chuck ribs too. So I mean, just depends on who's doing it.
So I know we talked about this, but I already forgot where the dino ribs land, right? As far as the tomahawk ribeye goes. So you got your ribeye, and then you got the big bone for the tomahawk. Is the dino ribs on that bone? I always forget.
Yeah.
I'm throwing you a curveball.
So it's
The bones. The thing about the rib cage is that it's short bone starts with the shorter bone,
Yep.
goes big long bone,
Yeah.
and then as it kind of tapers back towards the New York end,
Uh-huh.
it starts to shorten out again.
Okay.
So when we do those tomahawks, it's kind of like it's like you get
6, 7,
3 out of the.
no. I think you can get 7 out of a ribeye, right? But the
7
The
out of
bone's
a
not going
ribeye,
to be
yeah.
the same.
But the bones won't be long. Yeah.
R-
So you
not
take a
all,
whole ribeye roast, you can get 7 ribeye steaks, but you can't get 7 tomahawks. Technically. Yeah. Wouldn't look as sexy. They'd be shorter.
short.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're higher or lower on the cow?
The dino.
The dinos. Lower. Man, I got to get me some dinos here soon. Okay, we talked about the Zab. We talked about the Zabuton. That comes off the Chuck roll. What about the Terrace Major? That's another good one. That we do
Terrace
a lot
on the
of.
shoulder.
Yeah, Terrace Major's super small. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of the same size as a pork tenderloin, if you can
Yep.
think of it like that. You know,
Funny that I say I don't like the minerally nastiness of a liver,
Yeah.
but I like that in a steak or
Yeah.
in the meat. And for those of us that like that, kind of get punched in the mouth bloodiness of a steak, Terrace Major is where it's at.
Dude, yeah.
It's so good.
Well, you can't have too much minerality, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that Terrace, you're right. I like that one.
super easy to cook.
It's a lot of people.
It's
Do
so
people
yummy.
walk into the butcher shop and are like, "Give me those 2 packs there." When they have it, they love it. They know it. Boom.
What's great about that cut too is it's not a humongous steak. It's not
Yeah.
a huge endeavor for dinner. I mean, you can sear it up for 2-person family, 3-person family, right? It's super, super easy.
Yeah, I love it. Good. Okay, what about the skirt steak? Ooh, we love skirts.
Skirt.
Ooh, God, we had some Wagyu skirts. Some Wagyu skirts
I
last
love-
week.
I
Oh my
love
God, dude!
skirts.
I made a badass steak sandwich with that, man.
It was because of your chef background of Riley's Pizza.
Yeah. I was the head chef at Riley's Pizza in Mukilteo. I think it was 2001 or 2. Made a lot of calzones back then. I've done it all, man.
Tell
I've
us
done it all,
how
man.
you put the names on the calzones real quick.
With the ketchup.
With the ketchup.
With the ketchup. You're right.
Squeeze
with the
the name
ketchup.
of the
That wasn't
ketchup
my
on the
idea. I was
calzone?
just.
That was your idea?
No. That
Oh.
was not my idea. They've been doing that
Wow.
for years, man. They've been
That
rocking
shit's-
it.
That's dope.
It's not there anymore, too. I would go down there and get a calzone.
Let's
man.
bring it back.
Let's do it. Okay, so these are the thin cut, or what would you call these the other day, Charlie?
Thin cut, thin meats.
Thin meats, the thin meats. So the skirt, the bavette, and
Flank.
the flank.
Yeah, they all come from the abdomen. Right?
Yeah.
They're kind of similar, but different grain structure.
And you'll see the flank, when you go out to those, to a grocery store. You might see a skirt here rolled up, full skirts here and there, maybe
No.
at some nicer places.
Here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know
I mean,
if
I've seen it.
Yeah. And what about bavette? You going to see bavette there?
Very rarely.
What else would they call it?
Flap.
Flap
Flap.
meat.
Yeah. It's not as sexy as
Yeah.
bavette, man.
Sirloin flap.
Sirloin flap meat.
That
Or-
does not get
Bib.
the bib. That's cool. Tri-tip, man. We do a lot of tri-tip here. We love tri-tip.
Tri-tip's great.
That's
Dude,
another one.
See the
It's
tri-tips we got today.
Where are they from?
Pure Country Farms, man.
Pure Country,
Country,
super
super
beef.
beef.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Oxtail, man. You guys always talking about oxtail.
Yeah, oxtail's expensive.
Yeah,
There's only
when
one
it
per
got hot.
animal.
So
It's so hot right now.
back in the
Yeah.
day when, we were youngsters and a lot of Italian cooking,
Yeah.
you would do oxtail
Uh-huh.
because it was like 88 cents a pound. And nobody really oxtail. It just sounds weird, right? It's a fucking
Yeah.
cow's tail,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I don't want to eat that. So good.
So
It's delicious.
How do you cook it?
Braise
braise?
it.
Braise
And now
it.
it's like $14 because
Dang.
everybody found out and discovered how delicious it is.
It's
It's like,
small.
and it's
Right.
Small.
You
You,
get
like
one
you said, there's
per
one.
one,
Yeah.
right?
Same as a hanger steak, right?
hanger steak, one
Hanger
per.
steak's hard to get. A lot of people come in asking for that hanger steak, man.
Had somebody ask for it last night.
Yeah, they love it, dude. The flat iron we talked about, that's an awesome one. Second most tender cut.
Flat Rion.
The Flatrion, shout out to one of my buddies, Tom, naming the Flatrion.
Flat Rion.
It must have been embarrassing at the restaurant, but it's a flat iron. And the second most tender cut, which we
Right.
love, comes from the shoulder you talked about.
Charlie always tells people that because it's the second most tender cut, you also have people in your family that some are mid-rare eaters and some are well-done eaters.
Yeah.
You can cook that flat iron well done and it's still going to be tender.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, that's good. That's good to know. Culotte.
Cool lot like that.
Culotte sirloin cap
Yep.
comes off the top sirloin towards the back leg of the animal.
AKA
Huge in Brazil.
Yeah.
You know,
picanha.
if you
Picanha
if
in
you go to a
Brazil.
Brazilian steakhouse and all that meat on swords,
Yeah.
picanha.
Okay.
Culotte.
Or culotte. Nice. And the top sirloin. I've always thought the top sirloin. I've just seen it so many places that I was just kind of like, meh. But
Great.
we love it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's super tender. Charlie loves that top. That's all he's talking about, man.
I love it, and I love it when we get Wagyu or we get highly marbled meat.
Mhm.
I feel like you see the disparity between normal beef and Wagyu beef a lot
in those lesser cuts.
in a leaner cut,
leaner
Okay.
cuts, yeah.
Okay.
because the ribeye's fatty regardless, right?
Yeah.
So anyways,
It's like we got
in my opinion.
Terrace Majors back there, Pacific Road Terrace Majors, and they look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Where, a terrace is generally super duper
It's
lean.
lean, yeah. And the ranch steak. I love that ranch steak.
comes
Charlie's
out of the
favorite.
clod, comes out of the clod heart.
Yeah, but dude, those Wagyu ranch steaks look
Yeah.
so
good.
dope.
They're so
I think
good.
the ranch
my
steak
God.
varies from animal to animal.
Okay.
They're not going to be great in every single one, but when you get good ones,
Ooh, man. And we're
They
selling
are
it for like
delicious.
$8,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, dude, these are freaking crazy.
it's a great steak.
It is.
Dude.
It's
Well,
an
let's-
everyday steak.
It's an everyday steak. Every steak should be an everyday steak. All right, so what are some alternatives to the Hollywood cuts? So if I love ribeye, that's all I want to eat is ribeye. What's an alternative that maybe is a little bit cheaper and that we can utilize the whole cow with?
Delmonico.
Delmonico.
Yeah, well, which is a
Basically,
chuck
yeah.
eye steak,
Chuck eye
Yeah.
steak.
but it's only the very, you really only get like 6 per animal, 3 per side.
Okay. But it's kind of like a small ribeye. That's what I
It's the
tell
same
people.
muscle,
Yeah.
Same muscle structure.
just
It's like a
tapers.
little personal pan-sized pizza ribeye,
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
that little one.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's freaking dope. Okay, I love New York's. I love New York. So what should I be ordering or looking for if I love New York?
Culotte steak.
Culotte.
Culotte. Yeah.
So culottes come from behind the New York. It's all part of the same muscle.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a little bit leaner. Has a larger external fat cap.
Yeah, it's got that fat cap.
I would say it's probably more tender than a New York,
Ooh.
but
Ooh.
it's going to be leaner.
So I tell
Controversial.
people if they want a New York and they don't want to pay whatever a pound for it. I'm like, I always get the culotte. And then, telling people how to cook it is one thing because I've never heard of that. How do you cook it? I'm like, well,
I mean,
still
I
just a
think
steak, right?
I think the fat cap is intimidating to some people.
It can be big, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can trim it. You
The
can use
beauty
it.
of it, though, is that if you cook that fat cap correctly, you get a nice little bite of super melty fat in each meaty bite, right?
That's
like
never bad.
magic.
That's never bad. Okay, and then for you, Tyler, you love tenderloin. So what would you steer people to that is comparable to tenderloin? What's an alternative to tenderloin?
Flatrion.
Flatrion, the flat iron.
Flat iron.
Man.
Just because of its tenderness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Doesn't-
not really.
Not the same shape.
It's not
obviously.
the same shape. It doesn't. I mean, you put it next to a tenderloin, and you're like, what the? And, it's a totally different animal.
Could you make what's the Gordon Ramsay dish?
No.
No, you couldn't.
What's
No,
it called?
because the
Beef Wellington?
Beef
Wellington,
Wellington,
no.
dude.
It would be really,
A
really
Flatrion beef
it'd
Wellington,
be
bro?
fucked up looking
Well,
for sure.
Yeah, dude,
it'd be
looks
messed
so
up.
good.
Plus, flat iron. What was I corrected on by that super butcher that one day we were talking about it?
I
It's
don't
not a
remember.
blade steak until like whatever
Oh
he
yeah,
said.
until
He
you
was being
cut
such
it.
a dick.
Something like that.
Anyway.
It's okay, man. Don't read the comments. It's okay.
Yeah, Yelp reviews.
Oh man.
But there's this huge sinew that
Yeah.
runs through the entire muscle, right? So it's like this, kind of like ovally longer shaped muscle, almost like a bigger, fatter flank steak.
Okay.
But you have to get in and pop all the way down the muscle, almost like you're filleting a salmon or skinning a salmon.
Yeah.
You got to pop that sinew out.
Pop that sinew.
Well, I mean, we've looked at it too. There's been a couple guys on barbecue websites that we've looked at. They're like, oh, you can cook this just like a brisket, and like,
Okay.
which we're like,
Which we're
And
going to
they
do.
say- they
We're
say
doing
that,
it.
We're gonna try it.
Yeah.
They say that the sinew is virtually edible
Will
at
just
that
melt.
point.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw in the bullshit flag now.
Well, let's see.
We'll see.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Next
but,
week.
um,
I'm doing
okay.
it next week.
Well,
But it's-
okay.
it's,
We'll have an
you know-
update for you on that.
The long and short is that it's tender.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're looking for in a
Super
steak,
tender.
if you want, just because the tenderloin's so tender and whatever, the next closest thing would be the flat iron, I'd say.
I love it. So that's cool, man. Those are like 3 really cool alternatives that hopefully you can find in most nicer, maybe grocery stores or butcher shops. Probably not going to find it in just the grocery outlet or anything like that. But if you're looking for a really cool alternative, look at some of those: the ribeye to the Delmonico, the New York to the culotte, the tenderloin to the flat iron. And then, if you really want to kind of, study up on some cool cuts, look at what they eat all around the world. Bavette around in France, and like you said, the picanha in Brazil. How do they utilize those different muscles? Because they're very specific. A lot of different countries really have specific, muscles that they choose.
Yeah, I think it's just they have different traditions and different
traditions. Yeah, you're right.
different dishes than we do.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of a fun thing about what we do here in the butcher shop is being able to talk about versatility of different cuts in that case, right? People are like,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to do with this? I'm like, well, what do you like to cook?
Yeah.
You want to go American? You want to have, Mexican? You can have tacos. What are you going to do?
I love
Because
it, man. We
there's
always finish on Mexican. We're like, dude, just make some awesome.
just
tacos.
make badass tacos.
I feel like it was like talk ourselves around and that. Like we just love that.
I don't know why. I just always kind of
It's good,
steer
man.
either Asian or Latin. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what it
love
is.
it,
It's
dude.
just a thing.
Well, I think this is cool because with so much waste in this world, we want to make sure the animal that lost its life for us is always being utilized in full, and that was kind of the exercise, this practice today. There's always going to be a demand for beef, right? Cows don't
Right.
stop growing. As Charlie says, ranchers don't stop farming, except for the couple that maybe had some troubles with, that article we
Yeah.
talked about.
there
But in
will
ge-
be
in-
people that want beef in this world.
Exactly.
Always.
Pretty much always. So, we want to be able to utilize what we have, not just what we want to use all the time. So we want to open up those floodgates a little bit and talk about all those different cuts. So hopefully, we can be more mindful of waste and get people to try different things and maybe fall in love with a new cut.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, do you guys have any finishing thoughts, or do you want to wrap it up here?
I'm good, man. I'm cold.
Yeah, it's pretty cold out here, man.
Charlie's good, bro.
Dude,
I'm cold.
At least they stopped washing our dang dumpster back there.
It is
but
chilly today.
yeah. Well,
Chris.
we're out here in the Lady Jaye Fire Pit. We'll sign it off for the Lady Jaye Meat Dudes. I am Evan.
Tyler.
Charlie.
Boom. See you next time.